Kakona, y'all. This episode of Power Spike is brought to you by Trolley Sour Bright Crawlers, the multi-flavored sour gummy worms that want nothing more than for you to chew their delicious sour heads and bodies into pieces. Trolley Sour Bright Crawlers crawl to the beat of their own yummy gummy drum, unlike any other sour gummy out there. We're back, everyone. Welcome back. Power Spike after a month hiatus. Just like waiting for, the worlds to start here. Everyone, Monte has now moved and left the continent. He's no longer here in America because Worlds is in Korea over there. If you can't tell.
He blamed NA enough that they just fucking kicked him out. They deported him Trump style.
Yeah, well, how come you're still there?
because they know deep down I love NA. It's different. It's different from you. You actually just hate North America. You hate Americans. You hate North America, and you want the LCS to die. You said as much on the show.
One of those things is true. One of those three things is true. I'll let you decide which one it is.
Well, that's basically the episode. We'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, that's the episode. We're done.
Also, Dom, just in case y'all couldn't tell, Dom's face looking skinny as fuck, man. Dom, you looking good, bro.
On the grind, baby.
Calories in, calories out. Treadmill looking good. Treadmill work looking good. How is the month treating you?
The month?
How was your month? Yeah.
Yeah, it's been good. It's been nice to just like have time to focus on other stuff. Like I've been, I've talked to you guys about it before, but I normally read a lot, and during the season it gets hard to like actually sit down and read a book because it always feels like there's something you need to do. Because outside of like streaming and doing the talk shows, what people don't know about streamers is like most of us, even if you have agents and stuff, you're still negotiating a lot of your own brand deals, and you still have to have meetings about, for example, like this show, discussions about, what content you have lined up, talk to your editor, like pay people. I mean, it's like a whole thing. So when you're in the season and you might be streaming like 200 hours, you're not only doing 200 hours of stuff per month, and it's really hard to like find a moment to like sit down and read. So it's been nice to just watch my Dolphins kick the shit out of your guys' Broncos, read a fucking book, like just chill out and just relax and enjoy life a little bit. Because my God, like there is something so satisfying about seeing just my team just absolutely obliterate your team in like the worst way possible. Like honestly, I don't think I've ever seen a team get beat that badly, and I've been watching the NFL for like 30 years. So.
There was the Cowboys-Giants game earlier this season, and my wife is a Giants fan, and we actually had a discussion as to which loss was worse, the 40-0. I don't know.
The 70.1 was just crazy. I mean, the thing is,
the Giants literally did nothing. At least the Broncos like showed some offensive prowess earlier in the game. Now, it was a genuine ass
Dolphins
beating,
gave up by the fourth quarter. We pulled our whole offense essentially by like the beginning of the fourth quarter.
I mean, makes sense.
And we still ran it up an extra like 21 points on your ass or something.
I'm excited for the Broncos tanking and the toilet bowl between the Bears and the Broncos that is going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah, it's going to be the worst game ever. Wait, tomorrow's a fucking banger. Bills Dolphins. Holy shit, I'm ready.
That too. Without Von Miller though, Bills are kind of banged up, so I'll be interested for the second matchup there. Also, Marvin Mims Jr., the Broncos receiver and kick returner, got me 28 fantasy points because he had so many kickoff returns. So, I'd go with the Giants one was a lot worse. That was embarrassing. That one was pretty brutal. Like, I think the stat was like the Giants had been outscored 68-0 in the first, six quarters of the game of the season or something like that before they came back against Arizona or whatever. But anyways,
I watched that game, and like I remember I was like watching like a couple different games, and I turned that game off because I thought it was so over. Like in the first half, I'm like, damn, like the Cardinals are actually like looking kind of good. Like, okay, like this is gonna be free. And then somehow I turned it back on, and the score was tied in the fourth quarter. At that point, I just knew the Cardinals were gonna lose 100%.
Yeah, I actually, because of that game, I stress ate so much I had to go get my own bag of trolleys for this week. So thank you, Trolley, for supporting us, and I will be making a call to you soon to get another bag so that because it's going to be a long fucking season.
I'm gonna look around here in Korea and see if I can find some, because I haven't tried yet, but I will acquire some here, I'm sure.
One of our fans in Japan hit us up on Twitter saying can't find it in normal stores, went to our international exchange store and was able to find it there. So thank you very much for going the extra mile We love seeing you guys and your bags of Trolley gummy worms. Please continue to do so throughout Worlds. Thank you. All right. With that said, we had let's turn to Worlds, guys. It's finally here. Had our little bit of a break. Had time to go over some of the VOD and some of the other regions, reevaluate some of our takes. So this episode will be a little bit forward towards actually this episode is going to be more towards the year that was 2023. Everything that happened, whether our favorite moments, our biggest surprises, biggest frauds, and a certain team no longer existing. The existence is gone. Who knows what that means for the future?
You love to see it.
Yeah. But speaking of something not existing anymore, there was an announcement that came out recently with a fellow talent content creator peer, Caedrel, has announced that he is no longer going to be casting. He's taking a step back and on a Twitlonger or Twitter Blue extended post was able to explain the rigors of both being a caster and a content creator at such a high level and the toll it took. And he made the decision to step down from casting. For me, I think Caedrel provided a lot of great insight that as a pro player, it's just something that you're able to do as a pro player and speak to your own experience that is valid. He was able to do that. He was able to do it entertainingly. I think his craft level was high, but I also appreciate the fact that he understood that, because I love this craft of broadcast and casting and all of that. I appreciate the fact that once he knew he couldn't do both, he made way. He's made space now for future entertainers and future casters to also get in there and be able to tell their story and tell the stories of League of Legends in a unique way. So I thought that was also very gracious of him as well. So with that, I want to ask you guys, what are your thoughts here on Caedrel, the impact that he had, the decision that he made to retire? Monte, let's start with you.
Well, he was my favorite caster. I think he was really good. As far as a transition from a professional player into somebody who took very seriously the craft of casting and really dedicated himself to it, I thought he was amazing. So I'm really going to miss him on the broadcast, but I also understand, because there's no way in hell that he's making more money from casting than he is the millions of dollars he's making from his streaming. And I also think that considering he does do variety streams as well, he has the chance to just break out of esports and just be a mega streaming star as it is. So why the fuck would you stick around if you have these other opportunities? And I think I totally understand his position. Like, Dom's on that grind as well of co-streaming everything, but to do that and also to have to go to all the meetings and show up to the studio to do the LEC broadcast is just a ton of work. It's a ton of work. So I don't blame him at all. I think that it makes total sense.
Dom, what do you make of this?
So I recently saw his Worlds tier list, and he had in the bottom of it, in his Worlds tiers, he said, "Where are those frauds? OMG." At the bottom of his tier list. Oh, no. So I mean, I gotta say, I think that he's kind of just a fraud at this point. I mean, I think he was a fraudulent caster. I think the broadcast will be better off without him. And I think that he is the embodiment of the Shy's level of play. He is the casting version of the Shy's level of play in 2023. That's what I would say about that guy.
All right.
But he's also one of my good friends, and I give him a lot of I give him a lot of shit because of the wave of OMG stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think that he was just literally the most knowledgeable caster. I mean, it's really OP being a former pro player and then going into color casting. If you've seen the trajectory of people like Crepo, for example, Crepo was the person before Caedrel that filled that portion, and Deficio was also there too, where it's you have supports that I guess maybe when did Crepo retire? Season 5, season 6 or something, and then he joined the broadcast afterwards. Deficio retired in season 3, but that's something that's very needed on broadcasts. And I think the issue is that it's very hard to find pro players that are well spoken, but that also are going to be willing to take a casting job, because the alternative is obviously streaming, and streaming is something that's much more lucrative than casting historically. So I think that LEC was really lucky that they got him at the time before his stream like really blew up, and he was able to just provide all that insight into the broadcast because there's just really no one else to do it. I mean, you can study the game all you want, but there's something different about being able to also like play at a high level. You're just going to see situations a lot more clearly when you have that in-game experience. And, you know, like he was obviously, I think, just the best caster in the world at that. So I'm obviously, I think LEC is going to take a hit, but realistically, I mean, with him being one of the biggest streamers now in like the entire League of Legends section, there's no reason for him to continue casting. I mean, he's not gaining anything from casting anymore. He's not keeping himself relevant by casting. Like, he's relevant enough doing his own stuff by himself.
Yeah, we've seen the trend be players retiring and then moving to casting, whether, you know, the European examples that you just said from earlier. I think also like Cloud Templar, another one, Huni, another one, both in English and the Korean broadcast. I feel like there's one more Korean
Wolf, the Korean player, has been
Wolf.
is quite popular over there. I think the problem that pro players have when they move to casting is, first off, not necessarily a dedication to learning how to do the broadcast and the technical abilities that it requires. And the second one is, I've seen certain pro players where when they get an opportunity to cast, their game knowledge is very good at the start, but because they're not accustomed to grinding film, their knowledge kind of falls off a cliff after like a year if they're not keeping up with the meta, because they're just used to having all that information fed to them by playing the game or by coaches and analysts and everybody on their team. And so if you're not actually a film grinder, which most pro players I would say are not, you're not going to have a very good perspective once you stop playing professionally a lot of the time. But you know, people like Crepo, people like Deficio, people like Caedrel were all film grinders, so it makes sense. But I think it can be a tough transition for a lot of pro players to move from playing the game all the time to just kind of more passively watching it.
Yeah. So with that, Caedrel making the step down, as you said, LEC will take a hit, but again, that's also the same team that I think helped flourish that casting ability and allowed Caedrel to get to the level that he was. So what I like about this is now Caedrel's making the next step towards, I guess, casters, players becoming casters and now becoming full-time streamers, and seeing that he's really moving.
He's
that
just a new
forward.
version of XQC in a way.
Yeah. I feel like people forget XQC was a fucking pro player, right?
I cast him. I mean, I know XQC very well.
He took a lot of inspiration from XQC, but I think it's smart to do, like, emulating. I mean, I would say like Kesha does essentially the same thing. I think taking inspiration from bigger streamers, it's like anything else. Like, you're in a competitive field, you look at who the top people are and you try to emulate what they do.
Yep. All right. Well,
or you just hate on T1 for view. I mean, there's different like ways you can approach it, but you know, it is what it is.
Caedrel moving on, let's take a second to look back at the year that was 2023. And we start off with a classic here on Power Spike. It's time, Monte. It's fraud alert time. We're going in to the biggest frauds of 2023. And think about it. We have a lot of candidates. I actually have 3. I'm using 3 for me, but I'm excited to hear what you guys have. Let's get into it. This week's fraud alert, the biggest frauds of 2023. Oh, Monte, deep in thought here on which one
we're just going to have a fraud fiesta right now. You can call. I'm going to open up the floor. We can call out teams, individual players, anybody is up for a fraud of the year.
There's 2 obvious ones. The 2 teams that are the obvious frauds of the year are FlyQuest and Vitality. Yes. Like, those are just the 2 where indisputably it's just they're supposed to be literally the best teams in their region or like second best teams in their region, depending on how high you rated G2. I mean, FlyQuest was just supposed to be just straight up the best team in NA, like not even close. Like the talent level was just way too high, especially if you remember the season that Prince was coming off of. So those 2 teams, like, disgusting year. Like, they went 9th and 10th with 2 of the best rosters in the weakest region, like in the weakest regions. It's so crazy.
By the way, that is such an outrageous thing to happen in both regions simultaneously, for both of these teams to be so highly rated, make roster moves that on paper look good, and then completely and totally shit the bed in the end.
Well, if we make it positive, one of the biggest frauds could be Golden Guardians, because we thought they were going to suck ass, and they ended up being one of the better teams of the year. There's nothing more fraudulent. If you were betting on that team to lose every game, you got absolutely fucked. Vegas took you, right? Esports Bet took you here, right? But not exactly the case here. All right, so we'll keep it the other way. We'll keep it. We thought we're going to be good, but we're bad. We'll keep it that kind of fraudulent, the way that it's intended. Let's throw it out there. FlyQuest. I feel like FlyQuest, we could start there in North America. That felt like a team that it's tough to call this one fraudulent with a specific person, because every person I talk to, whether it's a player or a coach, Papa Smithy, LS, they could not pinpoint what the issue was. And that to me is it's kind of fishy.
Really,
it's
I
fishy.
can look at the fucking. I mean, the biggest issue is that Vikla was just playing like shit in like the majority of summer. Like he was just playing like literally the worst mid in the entire league. They had to sub him for fucking Spyrax in one of the weeks when they were like on the fucking like chopping block. They were subbing him for Spyrax. That's
always the plan, though, Dom.
He was the rookie of the year in LCK. He's supposed to be one of the most promising young Korean players.
All right. We got to set this up, because the expectation coming into the year was obviously like, pretty insane. So as Dom says, Vikla is the reigning LCK rookie of the year. He did look legitimately good when he was on KT last year. We were all excited for him. Prince was coming over from Live Sandbox. This guy was a top 3 AD carry within LCK. He almost hard carried his team to the World Championship. Barely lost out there. And he was the bright spot. He was a very high economy, high damage output, ultra carry. And he showed that in his first few weeks here. Not only that, but they got the World Championship coach. And regardless of what you think about DRX, I don't think that run is possible without good coaching, because they vastly. I mean, I think
they got the wrong one. They should have got Mowgli. They got the wrong one. They attributed the wrong coach. That was the problem.
There you go.
Like, this guy is the head coach? Oh, he's the head coach. It's like, dude, I don't give a fuck about the head coach most of the time. I want the strategic coach. I want the guy that's actually fucking talking the game. So
everybody was excited about Spica, who looked like a rising star in North America. Impact, obviously, huge signing, just the rock of the mid lane, super consistent. It on paper, it makes sense that you would pair Impact, kind of a weak side player, with Prince in the bot lane. Obviously, their support situation was a little bit dicey at the start of the year due to some visa issues, and both of their supports ended up being bad. But then halfway through the year, they go ahead and they get Vulcan, which is probably the biggest on paper upgrade and one of the most valuable players in North America, because he is a top tier native North American player. So all of these roster moves make sense on paper, and yet this team is just absolutely miserable after the first few weeks of competition in spring.
I feel like Dom here. It just what could they have done? Was there anything else they could have done, or is this why this is the biggest fraudulency in the league?
I mean, I think that what normally happens with these super teams is that when they're playing like shit, they don't like acknowledge that they're actually shit at that point. They're like we still have good enough players. Like we'll get it done. We can still play everything. Like, they needed to just go into their crisis mode way earlier. It felt like they weren't really in crisis mode until like 4 weeks in or something, where they're like, okay, like this shit is bad. Like, we have to win like 4 out of our next 6 games to even like have a shot of making playoffs. That's when they started going into their crisis mode. They should be like at that point, like most teams, when they're bad for the first 2 weeks, that's good enough. And especially with how intense the schedule was, they just needed to really just fucking like figure out what they could do to make playoffs. Like, what are our best comps? What do they play? Even at the end, like, okay, here's the question. Monte, what was their style in summer? Like, what were they good at? What did they play? What did they play in summer? You don't know what they played in summer. Like, there's nothing to. It's like, oh, they kind of like Jace, Malk, like Ivor and Malk. Like, what the fuck was that? What was FlyQuest style? No one knows, because there isn't an answer, because they didn't have a style.
I just remember the terrible Vikla any games.
I mean, he played terrible Annie games. He was playing Tristana. That was like one of their things where they're like Tristana Ivern / Tristana Maokai. Then everyone realized Tristana was banned or like really OP, so it was banned every game. Then they started incorporating Jace, but no one knows what the fuck they're doing.
Yep, I agree. I mean, they didn't really ever nail down a style. They didn't sub Vikla out soon enough, in my opinion, or create actual competition within that role. There were clearly synergy or morale issues that went relatively unaddressed. There's no reason that this level of talent was so bad. Like there had to be something they could have done to fix it, and we did see their GM get let go. So perhaps that was part of the issue.
And remember, this team started 8-0. Like I almost forgot about that too. They started 8-0 and just tore up the league in spring. Yep. Thank you, guy in chat, for reminding me that.
Yeah, I mean, it reminds you of Vitality. In winter, they went 7-2 and then just bombed out in the group stage.
Shit on G2 super hard in that split too. That was the game where Bo played Vi into Yikes Udyr, and he completely like ran the entire game. It was like, God damn, this guy is a freak. Like he's just maybe the best the best imported player we've ever seen. Like he was in that conversation. Prince was in that conversation. There was a point where if you like cut the tape about 3 weeks in to spring / winter, obviously of LEC, you cut the tape and you say like, what is the trajectory here? Logically, Prince and Bo were on the trajectories to be the two best imports in the West ever.
I literally said that at the time about Prince. I asked the question, is Prince the best import player ever to come to North America?
What did we say? We said Perks, right? Perks Bjergsen.
It would be Bjergsen in North America for sure, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, I think Prince, Impact would be another one. I think that Prince his ceiling was just so crazy, and his level of dominance was so complete in the early weeks that it made a lot of sense to talk about him in that way. Now, obviously, that take has aged very poorly. But
given the information we had at the time,
given the information that I had, he looked amazing. He was just dominating.
So FlyQuest was one of my 3. Vitality was one of my 3, but I'm going to go a little bit more specific here. And Dom, you might hate me for this, but I'm using you as the example here. I feel like it's Bo, right? Bo was pretty fraudulent because I don't think I've seen you get a player's trajectory as wrong as Bo, right? You were right with Johnson. You're right with Tactical. Bo's someone who we've been waiting for to be the guy.
Bo is like good. Like I don't blame Bo for the fact that Vitality sucked. Like I think that they used Bo in literally the worst way you could possibly use a player of that skill level. Like so when I watch him play, it's like, you took a guy who is literally like somebody who is one of the best carry. Like as soon as they got eliminated, he had rank 1 in EU with like 80% win rate. When do you see that? 80% win rate. You know how hard it is to win 80% of your games in Challenger?
What are you talking about? Vikla was rank 1 in NA when.
Yeah, so you see, but I mean, the thing is that Vikla actually he grinded for it. He put in like a ton of games, whereas Bo is just like a player where when he plays carries, he is just that fucking guy. He's just like one of the best carry junglers you'll ever find, right? So you take this guy and you put him on Maokai duty perma almost like the entire year. It's like, what do you think is gonna fucking happen? Like, why not? And the thing that's crazy, it's not even that carry junglers were not playable. Like, people were playing carry junglers, but they just refused to let Bo play carry junglers. They thought that the team just wouldn't function like that. And I just think that was just like one of the worst uses of a player I've seen. So like, I would not be surprised if Bo just comes back on a different team. I mean, the rumors right now that everyone's talking about, because Ebai is really good friends with Elyoya. They think Elyoya is going to join Koi, and then Mad Lions will get somebody like Bo. If Bo plays with Niski, bro, they're going to fucking run the league. Like, they're going to be a top team for sure.
That's actually an exciting combo. I'd be into that.
It is exciting, but clip this. Here we go. It's the Bo train. And I just think of the type of situation and the type of environment that led to him with probably one of my favorite tweets of the year when they lost and him smoking the cigarette outside. That was great. That was super great. That was also very not teamworky and very kind of unprofessional, right? But hilarious, super hilarious.
I mean, it's just Vitality is another one of those teams where you just know that things had to be going wrong at a pretty deep level inside that team. You can't, in the similar way to FlyQuest, it can't just be like one player playing badly. There's just too much talent. So it was a misappropriation of resources, using Bo incorrectly, but potentially communication issues, resentment about play
right?
style.
So he only played 6 games at the end of the day. He only played 6 games in summer. Like, that is pretty fucking low when you consider everything. When you compare that to playing like what you do in NA, where you're playing 18 games, like, I think that the summer like roster management was really weird. And then there was this whole thing, which I guess we can talk about now. It's been so long since then, where Vitality was trying to get Inspired for that last week. And apparently the rumors are that Inspired even like got to the airport and he was like ready to fucking take the flight and join Vitality for that last week. And then like last moment, it was just called off for some reason. Like, he was just not able to play at like the last moment. So like they benched Bo and it ended up just being for a rookie 17-year-old who like mains Viego. That's what they ended up doing for like the last 3 games. Like, it's so crazy. But I think LEC, when you look at like teams that heavily underperform in LEC, I mean, we saw Mad Lions almost not make it into top 8. Like, they qualified 8th and they even ended up, did they win that? Is that the split they won? I think that's the split they won, right? Where they were, or no, that wasn't the split they won. Was it the split they won when they went 3-6? I think it was, right? LEC Spring.
Yes, they went 3-6. They were 8th place, and they beat BDS.
They won the split. So like, you're gonna see a lot more variance in that format because there's just less games, and like the breakpoint, like 3-6, it's like you can start 3-6. I mean, this happens to teams where they start 3-6 in best of ones. But in NA, it's way less forgivable because it's 8 teams and you have 18 games. And the teams are worse. Like, you have Immortals in North America.
Terrible.
Yeah, some of the teams are just horrible.
All right, so we hit the big 2. I'm interested in other ones that you guys have. Obviously Vitality, obviously FlyQuest. I have a niche one here, which I think is going to be very unpopular, and I hate saying this, but also I just think about if I'm an organization, I just got completely fucked. And it is the fraudulency. I got to get this right so that the fanboys and girls don't like get upset. The fraudulency is Bjergsen's drive to play, because you made a plan to bring Bjergsen and Doublelift in with this roster, and you left just like empty-handed there. That feels insanely fucked. And again, any other player does this and they get flamed, they get contract jailed, they get, like thrown out the spike. Bjergsen didn't even fucking tell Nadeshot that he was leaving. He just left. He made a video and said, here's a video in an hour or in a day. See ya. And they had to get Quid, who had never left Korea before. I went to the compound one time over like that summer break in between, and the guys are sitting there VOD reviewing and like an academy game of Gen G. That was nuts. And it fucked the 100 Thieves. And then Doublelift like has, he's tanking all the aggro. They're like, he's washed out, whatever. Peter put in the work. He was fucking dying. He got like stabbed in the ribs or whatever the fuck and was internally bleeding and was still playing. Like, and Bjergsen quit. He left.
I have a question. Do you think it was the LCS PA? Do you think it was Phil Aram that actually stabbed him in the ribs for completely ruining the negotiations? Because like, I wasn't even involved, and I kind of wanted to stab him in the ribs in game when I heard him talking about this shit. So, like, I'm wondering.
Wow, he was a snitch, and so he got shanked like he was in prison.
Yeah, straight up. That's how it works here. It's America, baby. Like, sometimes, that's the only way you're gonna learn. He's lucky it wasn't a poo shank, bro. You can get infections from that shit.
I often think of the LCS like a prison. So I'm.
Oh, never mind.
I often think of LCS like a prison, so I'm enjoying this analogy.
That's
a good theory, though. I like it.
What else do you got here, Monte, in terms of fraudulency. I do like the Phil Aram protest one also as like a side bring up of fraudulency.
I think that's a pretty good one. One that's in LCK would obviously be Hanwha Life. I don't think we anticipated that Hanwha Life would be good, right? Because we knew that DRX was a patch Zerg team and that Kingen and Zeka probably wouldn't be regaining their form. But there was, I think, for the casual fan, a lot of hype around these two world champions joining this Hanwha Life roster with Viper coming back from China. And there was an expectation that they would do much better than perhaps they did. I think they played about how one would have expected, given the level of this roster overall. We couldn't have foreseen Clid just completely griefing the team and then getting kicked out. That was a surprise. I didn't think he would. I didn't think he would perform that badly and then also have a scandal that caused him to be removed, which in many ways was a blessing. But yeah, I mean, this roster was obviously designed to make the world championship if you're Hanwha Life, and it was just incredibly badly GM'd. But I think unlike Vitality and FlyQuest, which the GMing kind of made sense and we were excited about it, I was like not very excited about Hanwha Life, but they were still kind of fraudulent in the end.
Viper? No? Okay.
I hope Viper's on a good team next year. That's my take.
Yeah, I mean, he left LPL, so I mean, he deserved to suffer for a year because of that. This was the year. This was the punishment year. Look at how much better LPL treats the superstar. Look at Ruler, bro. Look at what Ruler got for teammates compared to. He had fucking Life and Rascal on his team. Like, he was playing with Life and Rascal. Is there any more ELO held you can be than playing with Life and Rascal on a team that's trying to win worlds? Like, he was hardcore ELO held. And then came over to the LPL, came over to JDG. His teammates, like, missing would give his firstborn to save Ruler one time. Like, hey, this guy will sell like, if anyone engages on Ruler, he's instantly flashing, exhausted. He'll flash into skill shot. Like, this guy protects him like the best bodyguard you'll ever see in your entire fucking life. Instead, he had just Life just inting. Like, Life would just int to try to start fights. That was his support before this. Now Viper is getting the Life treatment. You know, it is what it is.
Those were 5 or 6, I think about 6 of our biggest frauds of 2023. If you guys at home have some that we haven't brought up, please let us know. I mean, the
other one we have to shout out, dGon, is just like all of T1's ability to shot call in games. I mean, the removal of Faker, it was just shocking how badly they were playing. Like, I get that Poby sucks, but why does Zeus suck when Faker's not in the team? Like, why does Zeus's laning? What is going on? Is just the Faker aura buffs him in lane? Like, I don't understand how this team is so significantly worse on an individual level when Faker isn't there.
I guess the fraudulency are the claims of Faker's downfall here. Like, that's pretty fraudulent. Maybe Keria. You could say Keria, the undisputed best player in the world at the beginning of the season, was maybe a little fraudulent.
Yeah, but I was disputing the fuck out of that, by the way.
I know. Okay, sorry.
Undisputed.
The almost undisputed. There was one voice in a very darkly lit room that was disputing it by himself, but almost everyone was on that. Keria High Trim, myself included. Let's see. But yeah, if you have any other ones, please let us know in the comments below. Obviously, Twitch chat that are watching live with us here, y'all have been doing a great job bringing up some of them. But yeah, let us know. We appreciate all the comments there. All right, next up, time for our favorite segment of the show. It's time for Devoured, brought to you by Trolley Sour Bright Crawlers, where we talk about a player or a moment, or in this case, a team that gets eaten up. In this case, we literally mean eaten up. Shareholders, they got theirs, and fans, they got eaten up and are literally lying to themselves, saying, it's okay, I didn't want to be in LCS anyways. I never wanted to be there at all. Yes, we're talking about TSM getting eaten up, purchased by Shopify Rebellion, and be taking that slot for the same amount they paid to get into it.
How sad is that? How sad is that number that it came out? It's like $10 million. It's like Jesus Christ. So the trajectory is that LCS slots are now worth a third of what they were 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the fuck? I'm gonna be buying a fucking team in like 6 years. Like I'm gonna just own a fucking team in 6 years.
We'll get into all of the details here right now. It's time for Devoured. All right, if you did some quick maths, now you can figure out how much Dom makes a year. Monte, what do you think about
who said I'm gonna make it in a year?
He just will have that amount of money.
Yeah, I'll just have that amount of money.
Okay. And he too, because as a savvy investor, Dom only invests in products that are declining rapidly in value.
Well, no, that'd be the luxury. That would be the luxury purchase. That's like the shit that I want to have. You know?
Okay.
I've got the fucking investments, Monte. I've got the investments. The house is an investment. Like, are you kidding me?
Dom, what would you name the team?
What would I name the team?
Yeah, what would you name the team? Because you don't have like a
just call him Dom's Subs.
I mean, the easy one would be the sack. You just name the team the sack, and then each one of them would just be like we would just make them name change. They would just be nuts number 1 through 5. It'd be nut 1, nut 2, nut 3, nut 4, nut 5. That would be my fucking squad right there. And that's how we would get sponsors. Look, we could get a Manscaped sponsor. Like I've thought about it a little bit. We could get a Manscaped sponsor. I mean, the energy drink companies, they don't give a fuck what your names are. Yeah, Blue Chew. Yeah, Blue Chew. I see that all over. Look, those ads are shameless on Twitter. Like you go on Twitter, like the Blue Chew is just fucking shameless. At that point, most of the fucking audience is gonna need that shit anyway. Like, I mean, I'm pretty fucking good with yeah, we'll brand it out. Just give me some time to think. But yeah, we'll make the sack happen. The sack will be LCS team soon enough.
We'll make the connection with Trolley. You know, you can't just only have nuts down there. So
gotta have the worm. Shout out to Trolley. We love you guys.
Hold on, let me just eat a handful real quick after that one. Thank you, Trolley.
Best sponsor, Trolley Sour Bright Crawlers. Thank you.
All right, let's get this back on topic here. TSM, they got bought by Shopify Rebellion. This is one that was kind of in the works a little bit. I had heard talks that Riot was trying to figure out with them and another LCS team how to keep them in the league. Apparently, obviously, TSM was like, cool, we're out anyways. And they get bought by Shopify Rebellion. When you heard this news, Monte, obviously there's a lot of different takes. What it used to mean, what it means for now, what it means for the future of TSM, what it means for Shopify Rebellion coming in, what does it mean for LCS? What were some of your initial thoughts?
Well, first off, I was very happy because fuck TSM and fuck Reginald and fuck all their fans.
Agreed.
But
I mean, they don't have any fans left. But like, if there's somebody, if you were a fan, fuck you anyway. I don't even care if you change teams. Like you were once a TSM fan, you're going to hell no matter what. Fuck you. Okay, continue, Monte.
Yeah, it propped up extremely bad behavior in the league for a long time. There was obviously a lot that was going wrong behind the scenes. They were lying to their own fans, which in my mind was despicable. Well, their fans believed it, even though everybody was telling them it was lies. So maybe they deserved it in the end. You know, we could discuss that later. But I am happy to see TSM leave because as somebody who's been around since the inception of TSM, like the amount of lies that organization has told has just been completely outrageous. Their behavior has been outrageous. The emotional abuse of their players has been outrageous. And even though they were recording it and just putting it out there, everybody just kind of shrugged their shoulders and thought it was cool for some reason, which is just completely insane to me. But yeah, I mean, couldn't have happened to a nicer org. As you guys said, the trajectory of the LCS is terrible in terms of valuation. So let's track this. Okay, so EG buys a slot for 30 million.
Mm-hmm.
FlyQuest, from Echo Fox. FlyQuest buys a spot. The FlyQuest gets bought for around 20 million. Okay, and that was much more recent, right? And then now we see this is then a little bit later. We see NRG buy CLG, which was just an equity swap. So $0 were actually exchanged. Madison Square Garden just took an equity position of some indeterminate value, probably I would guess between $10 and $20 million based off of NRG's valuation. They took that amount of ownership from NRG, right? And NRG took over the costs of operations. So Madison Square Garden just cuts and runs. And then now we have the $10 million purchase by Shopify Rebellion, which, to what you guys said earlier, is the same value that TSM bought into franchising in 2017. Yep. So, and that's not accounting for inflation, guys. It's not accounting for the absolutely enormous amount of money they lost on this roster, not only because the FTX deal fell through, so they didn't even get that sponsorship revenue or not much of it, but the fact that they paid Sword Art $6 million and they could have used
him more than half of what the slot is worth. Think about, I'm going to tweet that shit. I'm going to tweet. That's so ridiculous.
I mean, this is a complete clusterfuck. And it couldn't have happened to a nicer team than TSM. They clearly just want to cut their losses. Now, the question is, where do they go? Reginald said, well, we're going to be in a major region. So it's
competing for world championships.
Yeah, just like he's always been competing for world championships. I mean, I just love the fact that Reginald is just so delusional that he will spend an infinite amount of money on this quixotic quest to win worlds, which he will never, ever, 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 ever do. And even if he does, he's going to have to buy a roster like JDG, so he's just going to lose a stupid amount of money to do it, but he just can't let it go. He has some insatiable need within him, some insane need to win. Not even him, to buy something that wins at League of Legends, which is why. Just run your website empire, dude. Like, make some money. Take a break. Go do something else. But he's got to do it for some reason. So whether he does like a branding deal, like NIP did in the LPL, he could possibly buy an LCK slot. I mean, I think a number of those teams would probably be willing to sell at this point in time, given what I know of the business of the LCK. But again, you're still going to be losing a bunch of money. So, it's just a bad business. It's a bad business right now.
For note, they are world champions. They just won Apex Legends, which I love Apex, and TSM just won. But again, that is an expensive roster. Imperial Howe is one of the biggest streamers in Apex, and just in
you
general,
could probably make money off of that.
Yeah,
you could probably make money off of that.
Here's what I propose, and I need to ask our expert here, Monte. What happens in the quest to win? And because they're spending a lot of money elsewhere, and we've seen TSM's trying to be a little bit more savvy with their wins, what if they buy in the LPL like a younger team, an upstart team with high upside?
OMG.
Buy OMG. Dom, what do you do?
OMG is not that young, actually. There's younger teams out there, man. Like, for example,
look, Dom's trying to make it not attractive. Like, no, these guys are too fucking expensive.
Here comes used car salesman Dom of the LPL. All right, do your TSM, do your Reginald sales pitch for which LPL team he should buy in order to, convince him to buy a lemon. What is the lemon of the LPL?
It's gotta be like Ultra Prime.
Oh, UP.
I mean, Ultra Prime, anyone's legend, maybe. The thing about anyone's legend is like they could not be terrible. I mean, actually, Sword Art's on anyone's legend. Maybe they'll just buy it just so they can have Sword Art back. Maybe they're just really fucking addicted to this guy and what he brings. Like, they scouted him. They thought he was one of the best supports in the world. They paid him as such. So, maybe
they
he
had
actually
scam him out of a car.
Yep. And I think Peter Zhang can't come back to NA, but he can still coach in China, right? Like, he's in China right now. So Peter Zhang can actually just be their fucking coach. It's got to be anyone's legend, actually. Yeah, the connections run too deep. It makes sense.
All right. Sorry, I didn't mean to derail us there with the nightmare that would be TOMG.
Right.
I mean, OMG has money. Like, OMG is not a like. I mean,
they're fine.
Yeah,
they're a legacy LPL org.
Yeah, have you seen their spaceship?
Mm-hmm.
No, I have not seen their spaceship. What? OMG
spaceship.
LPL spaceship.
Their training base looks like a spaceship. Like, when they started going on their run in 2022 summer, that was when like COVID lockdowns like hit again for China. So they were playing all the games from home from their spaceship, and they got an insane spaceship buff. Like they were so good in their spaceship. Like how could you not be? Like you feel like you're literally like controlling a fucking battle cruiser or something. Like, it's just so insane.
Oh, I see it now. That's nuts. This is nuts.
Yeah, some of those training facilities in China are really hilariously weird.
This looks like if I was like a TIE fighter landing into a destroyer. That's what it looks like. Not like I'm walking through it. I'm landing my ship into this massive thing. It just looks massive.
Yeah, it's crazy.
All right. So we've kind of hit the TSM part. We can hit that a little bit more. What does this mean for the LCS, Shopify Rebellion, and the other 9 partners in the LCS?
I mean, the Shopify Rebellion, like that's such a goddamn, bro. Like that's a next level like sponsored name, I guess. Like when I'm thinking about sponsors, like I mean, you have it in other regions, right? I mean, if you look at the LCK teams, they're all just branded. But like the Shopify Rebellion, it just sounds so strange to me. Like how does the Rebellion tie into like the Shopify culture? Like that's what I'm trying to figure out. Like we're rebelling by buying. Like I don't even.
This is not the one you want to. This is not the one you want to complain about. Okay, Rollster for KT is literally the words roller coaster jammed together. Okay,
but the thing is, like those are like
complain about Rebellion.
but I mean, the thing is, it's like those are like such a legacy. Like how long has KT Rollster been a thing? You know, like it's been a thing for so fucking long that it's like it just has. It's like endearing in a way.
I think they changed the name to Rollster in 2009. They used to be KT Magic Ends, so not magicians. It was magic and then the letter N, Magic Ends.
Okay.
And then I'm sure you guys know this, but they briefly, so KT's basketball team, so they have a basketball team in Korea, is called the Sonic Boom. So they changed their name in 2009 for a couple of weeks
Finger Boom.
KT Finger Boom, because they thought it was like Sonic Boom, but because esports players play with their fingers, that they would call themselves Finger Boom. So you guys can Google it. You can Google KT Finger Boom and you'll see their logo. And then when people started laughing at them, they quickly changed it to KT Rollster.
KT Finger Boom.
Which I think Wolf and I are going to make some KT Finger Boom shirts. Or I think Wolf already has like a hoodie of KT Finger Boom that he had made. But when we're in Korea, now that I'm in Korea, I think we're going to make some KT Finger Boom merch for Worlds. But anyway, I think since 2009. So they are kind of a legacy team. But I'm actually really in favor of what Shopify Rebellion is doing because, look, guys, every other esports business model has failed. What hasn't failed is SK Telecom and KT and some of these teams that have been in Korea that are owned partially or wholly by these organizations that is used as a less expensive way to do marketing, right? And so instead of getting a sponsor, the sponsor itself owns the team, which means that they are paying less money if they want to have this level of sponsorship. It's also a toy, which is good in some ways because then you don't care as much about losing money. And the reason why that's good is because the CEO of Shopify is famously a big StarCraft and esports fan and actually cares about esports as a scene. So, and he's also extremely rich. So if he can afford this toy and it's serving as a more efficient marketing spend, perhaps this is how esports teams should be run in the West as well, like the ones that you're talking about in Korea, Dom.
Yep.
I'm looking it up now. At Shopify Rebellion, we want to take a deep dive of what makes esports so great. The human stories that are told in-game and off-screen, the wit, the discipline, the endless pursuit of mastery. So, I mean, it has TLO, who is, for the longest time, he's a great StarCraft 2 player, right? So it's TLO?
Yep.
Well,
yeah.
he was
with TL.
He was a fun StarCraft 2 player. He was very inventive. He was briefly on top of the scene, like in the very early days. But yeah, he is a well-known StarCraft 2 player.
Right. They have teams in Dota 2, Halo, Rocket League, StarCraft, obviously Valorant, and a couple of content creators. I'm looking. They have 2 content creators. And so, you know, I think you've kind of hit a lot of the points that Shopify has here, where it's owned by a bigger organization. It is obviously Shopify itself is competing against all the other sales platforms that you can use to sell against. So kind of interesting that they're supporting this, and hopefully they continue to make enough money, and hopefully they find the value here because they are getting, the most storied franchise slot in the LCS. And I wonder how much of that is going to carry over into this season and how much of it is just a brand new start. And they just start from scratch, and Shopify is creating their own legacy and no nod to TSM at all.
Look, I'm really happy about the new teams that have come in. Like, other people might be doomers, but I'm super happy that NRG came in because I trust their management. I trust Andy Miller a lot. And honestly, like, NRG has done a better job with content than almost anyone in the LCS since they took over. At least in terms of viewership, right? They have a pretty big content engine, especially associated with some of their other teams and their social media kind of empire. And I think what we're seeing right now is we're seeing some savvy owners get in at a lower price point who are going to run things more sustainably, in my opinion. So I think that Shopify Rebellion and NRG taking over for CLG and TSM is A+. Love it. And
instead, we're seeing Toast spend the money on Challengers League. So we'll see how long that lasts, or if our, I guess, creators will get their opportunity to do that right now. But it's still the big orgs in the LCS. All right. Well, there you have it. TSM getting devoured. No more TSM. Their banners will live on, and their game cribs will also be watched very nostalgically, I guess. I remember. They
gave up so hard. The thing that I care the most about with it is that the teams that don't want to be in the LCS clearly are getting the fuck out of the LCS. Like, I don't want to see TSM, like, they gave up on content completely. They decided, like, oh yeah, we're not going to do the TSM Legends, or we're going to, like, stop doing them weekly or whatever. They gave up on that. They gave up on fucking roster building. Like, they didn't care about their roster anymore. They went for the most budget roster in existence. They signed fucking Ruby. Like, that's how you know they really didn't give a fuck. They signed fucking Ruby. Like, just get the fuck out if you don't want to be here. Yeah. Get the fuck out and get a new org in that has some, like, life in it. Like, NRG, when you look at their stuff, like, I'm looking at their social media a lot, and you can tell that like they just care more about stuff. They're trying to make stuff happen, right? Like, they're doing the videos where they're like, I hired a coach on Fiverr to coach me and pretended to be silver with, like, the LCS players. Those are good videos. Like, one of them hit like 150K. Yeah. Like, they're actually getting. I just want the orgs that actually want to be here, like, or like they want to give it a shot. I want them to be there.
I'm looking up their numbers now because it's a slow start. Anytime you build up a new channel, it just takes a while. Like, that's always what it's going to be. You can't just.
It's just so hard now because like this is just the point where, like, it feels like so many fans have given up on the LCS. Like, there's not many fans that are, like, willing to, like, give it another shot. It feels like it's going to be very hard to revive it at this point.
I feel like, to your point, it requires such a big change or something big to happen to make it happen, which is why I'm bringing in. Which is
why I need to buy a team.
Yeah, I mean, that would do it.
Why don't here's an idea. Why don't you, LS, and Caedrel all chip in and buy a team together, and then you guys
I've
can
actually
just
discussed buying a team with LS before.
Yeah,
like,
you should.
You guys are fucking. Don't do that. Don't do that. And, like, not really.
No,
you're just teasing everybody.
No. Like,
Caedrel, LS.
You can ask LS. We've talked about, like, combined, like, with sponsors trying to, like, buy a team. Like, see if it's, like, a possibility.
I think you guys should all the three of you should buy a team together, and then you should just record all of your GMing conversations and arguments with each other. It would be hilarious.
That would be content. You would get more views.
Why not?
You get more views than Astralis, all in one video. Boom. All right. Let's move on. Devoured, done. TSM, gone. We won't talk about them anymore, except when we want clicks or want to laugh at something. We'll move on to the main portion of today's episode, Galaxy Brain Club. It's time for our favorite moments of 2023. We got a lot of the frauds out, which were some of our, I guess, funny moments. It led to funny content that we put out. We got TSM out of the league. That's also a pretty good moment. I guess we could have brought that one up.
That's a really fucking good moment. That was like...
But now let's get into the rest of the good moments, the feel good moments, the moments that make us remind us why we love this damn league, why we love this game and the ecosystem. So let's get into it. Today's Galaxy Brain Club discussion, favorite moments of 2023. Alrighty. Who wants to start?
Me.
All right.
I'll start.
Start.
Everyone knows what my favorite moments are. T1 choking both finals, just getting fucking shit on by Gen G. That was just great to watch. Like that was one of my favorite moments. It's so sweet. I was kind of mad seeing T1 go on the run in summer, but then seeing them lose finals, it all made sense why like God set everything up like that. You know, it's so perfect watching this team lose finals, and especially the spring one, man. The spring one was fucking crazy because they were such insane favorites. I mean, we would always reference it, but the odds for them to win a series, to win the finals when they were down 0-2, they're 0-2, were like they had 3 odds to win a series where normally any other team would have like 15 odds to win the series because people were so delusional that this was like the greatest team ever created. So man, watching T1 lose, it was great. And then also just watching them get shit on by both Chinese teams at MSI. It's like, fuck, bro. The only thing I was upset about is that we didn't get like the 3rd, 4th. We didn't get OMG and MSI. We didn't get like the whole fucking roster of Chinese teams to just run a fucking train on them, just one after another. I wanted to see them just get trained down, make that shit quadra elimination so I can watch the Chinese go ham on that T1 booty hole. So that's what I was looking forward to. But unfortunately, it didn't happen. You know, they only invite 2 Chinese teams because we have to spend half the tournament watching Brazil play against Golden Guardians or whatever the fuck. So it is what
Gotta
it is.
get our
we
Golden
can't,
Guardians.
Dom, you can't complain too much. The MSI format was significantly better this year. At least we got 2 Chinese teams. You know,
Monte, it's exactly what you said. Nice. Being fucking punched is a lot nicer than being stabbed. Thank you.
Dom, that's your ingratitude towards Riot is appalling. In 10 years, we will have 3 Chinese teams at MSI. Okay, we just have to wait another decade, and we'll finally get it. We'll become a real esports by the time 50 years of competition have elapsed.
Hey man, I'm just gonna say the World Cup doesn't have all the European teams
sucks.
there. I know you hate the World Cup, but you know what? The World Cup makes a shit ton of money around the world, and it's like one of the biggest spectacles.
I don't care
about that. Same thing with the Olympics.
I'm a purist. I only care about my experience. Okay.
Yeah. All right. The T1 choking and train oneing, all that stuff there for Dom. Monte. Monte, what are some of your favorite moments of the year?
Look, we won 2 Holy Wars this year forever, which is EG and TSM. We finally won. I outlasted TSM. This is great. You know, the horrible management is out at both of these teams. You know, in spite of all the horrible things that these teams have done, we did eventually manage to get both leaderships out of League of Legends, which is a massive, massive win.
I mean, sure, you might have outlasted her, but Nicole Lapointe is still the Warren Buffett of esports. So who are you? That's my question.
One of my favorite all-time quotes in esports. What the fuck does that even mean?
No one knows. No one knows, but it's provocative. It gets people going. That's what it is, bro.
One of my all-time favorite quotes is that Nicole is the Warren Buffett of esports. Truly the greatest esports mind of our generation.
She was in esports for like 3 years, and she's the Warren Buffett. It's so ridiculous. I don't understand. Like people do the most fucked up shit, but it's like they always get this like past like. She's going to go on to her next job and she's going to just show that she was the Warren Buffett of esports on her fucking resume. It's so great.
I just love that it has nothing to do with the investment. Like if anything, she came in and they spent $30 million and now their spot is worth somewhere between an equity swap and $10 million.
She's like the Enron of esports.
She
did some fucked up shit. Like she's going to esports jail. I mean, it is what it is.
The Kenneth Lay of esports, right? Like I don't know.
Off of esports.
Just scamming her way into the industry and then straight out because she definitely wasn't fired, by the way. Voluntarily stepped down. It's crazy. You know, I wouldn't think that Warren Buffett stepping down from Berkshire Hathaway would be celebrated like this, but what do I know? I mean, I just love that you could just say this about I mean, that whole email, just calling her like comparing her to Sean Connery as well is just.
Might as well have said owns the Margaritaville of esports. I know that's Jimmy Buffett, but I think that's what the owner of Peak 7 or whatever the fuck was thinking, because it was just way off base. I really want to know what they were thinking. Like, is it, she made great investments at the right time in terms of players and we won a championship, like, or we made like so many finals where there was fandom. They rebranded and then rebranded and then rebranded. Like, I don't know. I don't know what that person was thinking. It's crazy to think how out of touch people are, can be, compared to owners like Jack, or I would say like Nade, or like people that are a little bit more hands-on and are familiar with the scene. Kind of nuts. But those are good ones. I guess these are your favorite moments. Again, I don't know. Monte, yours are positive. It's a positive by negative,
right.
but like, I wanted some heartwarming ones, guys. Instead, I just like Pornhub right
Why
there.
would you ask us? We are like the two most cynical people in esports history.
Because it's exciting when you guys do heartwarming things.
I will give you some good ones that made me very happy. So KT actually being pretty good this year, that made me super happy. Nice. My favorite heartwarming moment is Keen's rehabilitation after being terrible last year. He's one of my all-time favorite players. He looked amazing for large stretches of this year, even though KT look, he was okay. He was okay in playoffs. Until playoffs, look. KT fans are used to this. This was a lot better than the iteration of KT we had last year. I am excited to see KT go to Worlds. I'm excited to see how they'll do. I'm inured to the disappointment, Dom, so it doesn't get to me anymore. The fact that KT was even kind of good is a big upgrade. But I love watching Keen play. He's one of my favorite players, and to see him bounce back after having probably the roughest year of his career back last year, not knowing if he was ever going to be good again, and then to see his versatility and strength in the top lane has been really quite fun for me. Other heartwarming moments, I loved seeing BDS and especially Crown Shot do well. I have a big soft spot for Crownie as a person, and I know he grinded really hard to get back into LEC, and to have him be the dominant carry on a team that almost won one of the splits and turn things around in a big way for BDS, and now have a shot to do things at Worlds is really fun for me. I like the fact that we saw NRG do well after the sale from CLG, and we got to see Palafox hit Contracts and Palafox hit their big moments within the playoffs, and then pull off this incredible upset run in North America and have a North American core actually do well and win a title was really great also. So these are some of my favorite moments from this year. Oh, also LNG nearly winning LPL, because I love that team, and watching them this year, and especially during the summer splits, brings me great joy to see Tarzan and Scout get better teammates, get Gala on board, and then take it to some really exciting series versus JDG. Also happy to see JDG doing so well. Unlike the other super teams that were frauds, this is like the biggest anti-fraud team possible. Maybe, they're heading into Worlds, definitely the favorites there. Are they going to be able to win both splits of LPL, MSI, and the World Championship? That's super hype, and I love to see Ruler moving over and doing well with that team.
Yeah. I think for me, obviously, it was that moment it was when they were doing the interview, when Gabby was doing the interview with Contracts and seeing him be able to do the championship interview, that I was down on the floor, on the stadium floor with some other rioters where no one
I thought you were like fell to your knees.
Fell to my knees. Yeah.
I thought dGon was going to say his favorite moment was Gabby stepping down from the LCS.
No,
Jesus.
No, that's not. No, Monty. I hate that. I think
she was misused. She was misused.
Yes.
I do feel bad for her.
Yes. I think that has to be like such a great moment. We had so many interviews throughout the split where we were able to make jokes about Golden Guardians. There's like a I don't even know if I'm allowed to say this, but whatever. A no disparagement clause that had a time on there, and like we are past that now, so we could talk about it if we wanted to. Not that we had to, and then just to go see his growth as a player was pretty good. I think one thing that I think people were kind of aware of but didn't realize. So Udapon over for Detonation Focus Me, the long-standing player for Detonation Focus
top laner.
Had to go switch to top lane because Toltu, their academy guy, quit. There was abuse between the coach or whatever, or mismanagement, whatever they use. They find the team and is now going to Worlds as a top laner. Like he didn't do like,
dude.
Yeah, he didn't go like 80 carry to support. He didn't go like what High did. High went as like support / jungle. I forgot which one it was. He went from 80 carry to top and like was playing tank tops. He wasn't playing like Vayne top or just Gnar. Like he was playing the whole gamut of things. So it was really cool to see an older vet be the leader that is needed for a team and go that direction. I think that's a really cool storyline. You know, as always, that will probably die in the play-ins, but it's something cool that we get to like live as the league ecosystem here.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see if Evie can play 80 carry because I think that Udapon might be a better top laner than him, which means that Evie would probably have to also role swap in order to rejoin that team next year.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Those. I think.
What are you gonna do if Evie is back on Heretics next year?
Have content for another year. I'll flame him for another year straight. Like the thing is, LEC, I don't have any like coach to be rights or anything. I can go fucking ape shit over there, so I can just say crazy shit on my stream.
I'll
go off.
That's a good sell. That's a good sell. Let me think. Is there another LCS feel good? Like I guess good moment. I guess Golden Guardians. Like the whole Stixay and like the vets. So Stixay, Huhi, and Licorice kind of proving them wrong and showing that growth. I think the Stixay story was really cool in the spring, and then I think he still performed well in summer, and possibly having an opportunity to go to Worlds with this qualifier matchup here. But that kind of redemption story, given the fact that even show like ours, where it's you want quick turnover for a team that's close, and that does include like moving on from vets that maybe don't got it or aren't in the right meta or whatever, and to see that story and hear the story between Huhi and Stixay, and Huhi kind of being the one being like, wake the fuck up, what they're doing is illegal, we have to punish them, and then him waking up while Huhi is proven like being the better half of the 100 Thieves team, bot lane duo with him and FBI, them being friendly. Seeing those kind of things was great throughout. So congrats Golden Guardians on that. Feel good.
How about OMG actually being like legit? They used to be like a team that would scrape into playoffs. Now people are calling them frauds. You know how good you have to be called a fraud? Like, them getting 7th is fraudulent. Like even by like the people that loved OMG, I was predicting them like 8th or like 9th coming into spring. Like they were in my like they could scrape into playoffs. They hadn't won a playoff series in forever. And like in summer, they obviously went to 5 games with EDG, and that was an underperformance, right? They had a bad series. In spring, they made top 4. OMG made top 4. How the fuck did that happen? OMG beat top esports. Like that might be the most excitement I've got watching League in the last 5 years, was watching them beat top esports and then watching them beat OMG or beat LNG. OMG just beating LNG is fucking crazy to me. Like LNG was 13-3. LNG was supposed to be a favorite. Like they were a team that could have, they were in the conversation to win the whole league. And OMG was able to beat those two teams, go to 5 games with BLG. Like they showed out. So, I mean, that's probably like one of my favorite moments, actually seeing a team that I've like followed so closely, even though they were bad for a long time, actually seeing them succeed.
Yeah, I guess, from a global standpoint, I appreciate you putting OMG on our radar, Dom, because without you pushing that one, I remember my drive down from Virginia, because I flew in back to my parents' house to drive down to Raleigh, and watching that match live, watching their like playoff run in the spring live. That was like a lot of fun. Wouldn't have been aware of how fun they were without you there. So I think that's a pretty good story as well. All right, cool. I think we got good moments from everywhere.
Yeah, I'm really glad you mentioned High there, dGon, because I really miss him being in the league. He was such a feel good player. And I know a lot of you guys have really fond memories of High when he was on Cloud9 in the early days, or maybe when he switched to FlyQuest. But if you would like to bring back that feeling of High, you can go to thefreezepipe.com and feel good. dGon's got his freeze pipe right there. By the way, guys, at thefreezepipe.com, they do have a vape pen now, which I was really enjoying before I left the States. And it's super, super nice, very smooth draw, very portable, like really feels high quality, like has a super nice weight to it. So you can get the usual bongs, bubblers, everything else, but now you can get a vape pen over there as well. And if you use code LFN for Last Free Nation at checkout, you can get 10% off your entire order. So there you go. Thanks to High, bringing back the memories, feeling good, all ties into the freeze pipe.
Thanks, freeze pipe. Appreciate you for making it happen. All right. I think we hit all the big things of our review episode of 2023.
Oh, we got to talk about Asian games just very quickly.
I did not watch 1 second of it.
I saw the South KSA Saudi Arabia team steal Baron away from Korea. That was pretty cool.
And the reason why, guys, we're not going to talk about it, we're making a segment here to not talk about something, is that it was on an ancient patch. And the only thing that really mattered was that Korean players, and it does really matter, are now military exempt. So this means that Faker doesn't have to go to the military, Chovy, all the guys. So if you win, the rules are in Korea, if you go to an Olympics event, and this is from the International Olympics Committee, and you win a gold medal, so you can do it at the regular Olympics or at the Asian Games, you get exempted from your military service. It is one of the only ways you can get exempted, which means that you can save, it's not 2 years any longer. I think it's about 18 or 20 months now, the military service length. But obviously, you have to do that before you get too old, which could cut players' careers short. This means that, we don't have to have, sadly, it wasn't Keen, but, Zeus and Keria, Chovy, Kanavi, those guys, Ruler, will no longer have to go to the military, which is great for League of Legends and great for the fans and great for the LCK and I guess LPL. But, I care less about that.
Wow. Okay, I'm looking real quick. So, okay. Military service is normally like 24 months, 2 years. Sometimes it's as low as 21.
Now. It's less now, I think, but
let's see. Professions that are exempt from military service: violinists, pianists, ballet performers can get exemptions, as well as those who have won medals in the Olympics, specifically a gold medal in the Asian Games. So if you win in the Olympics, you can get anything. Asian Games, they had to win.
There you go.
That's why they stomped every team there. Definitely not just because they're better than everyone else. Son Heung-min, Tottenham Hotspur's forward, got an exemption. He's one of the best soccer players in the world. Or health issues. Those are the two reasons why you can get it. Not a lot of reasons why you get out. So I think that is pretty big news. We've got Faker for a little bit longer. A little bit longer.
Which is, regardless of how you feel about T1, it is objectively super important for League of Legends, the esport as a whole, to have Faker participating. You saw the viewership decline pretty significantly when he was out this season. So he is the superstar of the esport, and the longer he can participate, the better it's going to be for absolutely everybody.
Yep. All right. Well, with that, friends, we've hit so many of our segments today, and we appreciate you taking a review on the year that was 2023. We're going to have another episode coming out where we're previewing Worlds coming up very, very soon. If you're live, it's going to be very soon. And at home, and if you're not live, you're watching this on any of the platforms that you can reach us on: TikTok, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. I don't know why I said TikTok first, or any of the other homes here. Make sure you subscribe, leave a comment below, get the interaction going for us so that we can continue to provide content to you all. It'll be up soon. This week, because it's October 9th. 6th, 9th. October 9th is when our Worlds qualifying series match plays. And then we start Worlds the very next day. Kind of crazy. So things are about to kick on off. All right, y'all. We'll catch you guys very shortly. Thank you so much for watching. We appreciate all of you guys. We'll see you very soon.